Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Alright, this is the fourth episode of the methods that I use to learn the Arabic language. And inshallah, in this episode, what I'm going to talk about is how to start benefiting from your reading. Reading comprehension, basically. How to comprehend what you're reading. This one's going to be tedious. This is going to be a tedious task. And with much of what you need to do in the Arabic language, because again, I will reiterate that the Arabic language is it's the most difficult language to learn on the face of the earth. So anybody that could, it's going to take a lot out of you. It's going to take a lot of struggle. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this and say that this is going to be easy, because then I'd be lying to you. And if you go into your studies thinking that it's going to be easy, then you're not going to be prepared. So you need to be prepared. You need to know that what you're going to be undertaking is going to be a difficult task. But by you getting out of your comfort zone and struggling and striving to learn this language for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for you. He will make it easy for you, because you'll start to see that you're learning things that other people can't learn. So you got to keep in mind that every part of the Arabic language that you're going to be learning, it's going to be tedious in the beginning, but then it's going to start to get easier. It's going to start to get easier until eventually it's just like, it's just a part of your life. But by the time that it becomes part of your life, mashallah, your mind has expanded. Your mind has expanded. Like, Arabic is going to strengthen your mind. Like, they use, if you look at in Western society, they always used to love mathematics, because they thought that, they always believed that, by doing mathematics, it expands the mind. And we know, like, Arabic expands your mind. And that's why you see that the people that start to study the Arabic sciences first, and they get real strong in the vocabulary and the meanings of the words, and they get strong in nahu, that their mind is expanded. So now when they go into the different sciences of the religion, I won't say that it becomes easy, but it becomes a lot easier, because their mind has expanded. So now they can start taking in more information and processing that information a lot easier. So this is very important to understand that what you're undertaking is going to be a difficult task. And you're not going to be in a comfortable place for a very long time. So you need to understand that. And you just have to deal with that. You have to stay patient, and you got to keep pushing yourself every single day, to work and to do the work. And what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be one of those things. Because as you're once you've gotten to the point now, you're getting a little bit of Arabic language, and now you can sit down and you can read a little bit. Now you want to actually start reading, because us as students of knowledge, this is where we're going to be spending the majority of our life. I mean, this is where we're supposed to spend the majority of our life is going to be in books. So that's what we want to hurry up. We want to hurry up and get to the point where we're now benefiting from these books, because the faster we get to that because that's now we're actually living what we're studying for. We're going to be sitting in front of the ulama, and we're going to be sitting in the books. But even the time that you sit in front of the books is going to be a lot longer. It's going to take out a lot bigger chunk of your life than anything else. You might sit in a class here, like when I was in Yemen, we had three lessons every day with the sheikh. So maybe 30 minutes. So that's an hour and a half. Hour and a half sitting in the lessons every single day. And on Jummah, we had 2 classes, which is an hour. Okay, a little bit more, because the class between Maghrib and Isha was like about an hour long. So let's say 2 hours every single day. But then you're going to be outside of that class reading for a lot longer than that. You could triple that. Reading the Quran, reading hadith, memorizing the hadith, memorizing the Quran, reviewing hadith, reading books, reading the explanations of the hadith, reading the tafsir, trying to understand what you're reading from the Quran, and also going through different fiqh issues, fatawa, what this person said about that, what this person said about that. And if you're studying aqidah, then you're going to be reading all the different explanations. So you're going to be spending so much time in the books. So this is what we want to focus on today, is how you go about that. I'm going to give you advice that what I, of course, because this is the whole purpose of the series, is what I use. But this is not this was not my method. This was my teacher's method. And what he told me to do is that when I started getting to the point where I could speak and learn, and I could speak and understand, and I could, I could get by, as far as speaking and understanding. Now he said, now you need to focus on the reading. And he said the best thing to do, he said, get like an easy book of fatawa. At that time, the fatawa, because we're talking about 2000, early 2001 at the most. So this is way back. At that time, the famous fatawa that was out was Sheikh Saleh Fawzan's fatawa. It was maybe 4 or 5 volumes, I'm not sure. I've seen it in I have a bookstore next to my house. I saw it for the first time in 20 years, but it was here. But it's not a common book. It's kind of difficult to find nowadays. But back in those days, it was just all over the place. So he said, take this. He said, take this fatwa and read it. And if you can't find the fatwa Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Sheikh bin Baz. Because Sheikh bin Baz, his language is very basic. Because he's constantly getting asked questions from students of knowledge, but also from the general populace. So he has to give answers that everybody can understand. So he gives very, very basic answers. So Sheikh bin Baz also a very good choice. Sheikh bin Baz has an explanation of Al-Usul Thalatha. It's also a very easy book to understand. Sheikh Sa'di, his books are basic, very, very easy. Whatever it is, whatever book you choose. The fatwa, they're better because they're questions and answers. You understand? Where you can sit down and read the question that's in the fatwa, and then try to understand, okay, what is this person asking? And then and not just, you can test yourself also by trying to answer in Arabic. If you think that if you have you've been memorizing hadith at this point, and you got a little bit of adillah, maybe you've been memorizing some abwab from Umdat al-Ahkam or Bulugh al-Maram. So now you could try to test yourself and try to come out with what you think the sheikh is going to use as a dalil. However you want to do it. But if you're not at that point, it's fine. Just try to think back at the stuff that you've heard in different lectures, maybe even in English, and see if what your information that you got was correct. So you could test yourself. Now, once you've understood the question, you want to sit back, you want to read the question. Look up any words, because maybe there's something that you don't understand, a word that you don't understand, so you want to look up that word and do, like we talked previously, get the word, you got the context, put that word in your notebook in a sentence and start memorizing that word, and that way you never have to go back to the dictionary for that word again. I know one brother, what he used to do is he used to put a star next to the word when he looked it up. When he looked the word up and he put it in his notebook, he put a star next to it. So if he came back and looked that word up again and he saw that star, then he put a second star. And it's like, by the time you go back and you look the word up again and you saw the second star, you got to slap yourself, man, because why are you going back 3 times to look up the same word and you haven't memorized it yet? That's also a good habit to get into, just to show yourself, hey, you've already seen this word. Why are you looking it up again? I think I had some experience with because some words, they just don't stick. It's gonna happen to everybody. You just deal with it. Like I said, it's what we signed up for. So now you want to take the fatwa. You want to read the fatwa. You want to really understand it. If you have any doubt about what it is that you're reading, you can go ask somebody that speaks Arabic and try to explain it to you. If he can explain it to you in Arabic so you can understand it better in Arabic, it's better. If not, he tries to translate it for you and see if you had the same understanding. And then once you understand that fatwa, the question, just the question alone, you're not even getting into the fatwa yet. You want to sit back and reread it over and over and over again until it kind of sticks in your head. Now, you're not going to be you're not going to be sitting here reading 100 pages a day. You're reading, you might not even finish 1 page throughout the day. It depends on the size of the fatwa, the answer from the sheikh. But if it's little small answers, then, you're not going to finish a lot. So you sit back and you reread that question until it comes off your tongue smooth. Because you might have you kind of stutter in your reading. It's like a tata'tur, in Arabic, yatata'ta, in his reading, where you're like this. So if you're doing it, you want to read it over and over and over until you can read it fluently. And you understand it. When you read it, that you understand everything that you read. Now you go to the answer. And you do the same thing. You read it once, just to see the language and just to test your general understanding of what you've understood. And then you start picking out the words. Any words that you didn't understand, you go and look them up. All right, you look them up in your hands where, if you're still doing that, if you've made that transition, which at this point you probably be in the beginning of the transitional phase. So you kind of, because you're going to be spending so much time on the reading, you don't want to go into the Arabic dictionary for this exercise, because you might end up spending a lot of time. I mean, sometimes I would sit there on one fatwa for 3-4 hours. 3-4 hours rereading it, going to the Arabic dictionary, going back to hands where, going back to the Arabic dictionary, going back to hands where. I was free to do that because I was in Yemen studying and we had all day. That's all we were doing. So if you're not that type of person, I would just advise you just to go back to the hands where, look at the context and get it. and get the definition. If you want to go back and check it in the Arabic dictionary just to see, that's fine, do it. But don't spend so much time on that, because here your focus is on the reading and understanding what you're reading. You're not focusing on using the dictionary. Okay, so now you got the words, you got all the words out, you got the question, you got the fatwa. Now you just want to reread it. So what I would do is I would generally sit down and read it. Like, it would take about 15 times, 20 times, so I could read it fluently. And then what I would do is I would just, after that, then I would just, then I would read it a couple more times. Once I got the fluidity in the reading, then I would read it just a couple more times with the understanding. And that would be it for the day. And the next day I would come back and go to the next fatwa, but I would reread the first one a few times just to get it back going in my head, and then go to the next one, and like this, and you carry on like this for a while. It's like I said, you're gonna be going at a snail's pace in the beginning. But after you've done this, and like I said, if it's not a fatwa, if it's not a book of fatawa, you use, like, for example, like an explanation of Usul al-Thalatha, an explanation like by Sheikh Ibn Baz, or use, like, for example, the explanation of al-Wasatiyya from Sheikh Sa'di, Imam Sa'di, whatever, whatever it is that you're using, you just take out little bite-sized portions, and look all these words up, get it, and just reread it until it gets stuck in your head. It might take you, let's say, with like, if by doing this, you're not gonna, because you'll be surprised by the time that you get like maybe 10 pages into the book, you'll be going to the dictionary less and less, and your fluency and your reading is gonna start to pick up, and you're not gonna have to keep, rereading it over and over and over. So you actually find that, you're gonna spend like maybe let's say the first, from page 1 to page, let's say, if it's a 120-page book, if it's like something like the explanation of Usul al-Thalatha, which is like 115 pages, give or take, depends on the print that you get. Let's say the first 30 pages, you'll be struggling through it. But after that, you'll start to notice that it's just like you're not even going to the dictionary. And then once you do this, then the whole point is just to keep going to like the next bigger book, start to increase and start to challenge yourself more and more and more. So once you finish like the Usul al-Thalatha or something like that will probably be better. And I say the explanation by Sheikh Ibn Baz because it's very easy. It's very, very, very easy. Sheikh Uthaymeen is a very good explanation, but there are some things there that you would have to have somebody explain to you in Arabic. Like, for example, even in the beginning, he starts talking about he brings certain issues that, you're going to find in books of Usul al-Fiqh, which is beneficial, but not for you in the beginning because you haven't gotten to that stage of studying those types of things. And then somebody has to explain it, and then you're like, oh my God, I don't understand it, and it confuses you. You don't want to be confused. You don't want the confusion. What you're doing is already difficult enough. You don't need to add more difficulty. The books by Sheikh Ibn Baz, beautiful. They're beautiful, they're easy to read, and you can just go through them, and you can benefit. And like I said, by the time you get like halfway through, you're going to start to notice that it's easier. You don't go to the dictionary so much. You read, like, let's say, if you're just reading from Sheikh Ibn Baz, Allah yarhamu, you read like 3, 4, 5 books. Now you say, okay, now let me pick up some books by Sheikh Salih Fawzan. Maybe you pick up the Usul al-Thalatha by Sheikh Salih Fawzan, maybe al-Wasatiyya, or whatever. He's got so many different explanations, Nawaqid al-Islam. So you could go through any of those. And alhamdulillah, you still benefit. You're going to benefit greatly. And the language is very, very simple. And then you can start, after a while, then you start to progress, and you start to get into more difficult books. Then you can start reading the books by Sheikh Uthaymeen. Once you study more and you get like more Usul al-Fiqh, you get, you understand little by little. But just start with those easy books first. Go through that tedium of going through the book and reading little pieces and trying to get fluent in reading. And then you'll see after a while, you just breeze through the book. One piece of advice I will say before I finish this is to read out loud. Don't do this. Don't read like that. Read out loud. Take the book and read it with your voice, so you can practice with the pronunciation and you can actually hear yourself, because the words are coming out of your mouth and into your ears. So not only are you reading, but you're also reading and listening at the same time. And then of course you can take time to just sit back and read it. What I do, and this is what I advise you to do, is once you've gone through the book like this and you're done, you've taken out all the words, you've done this, you read it over and over and over again, you read it with a voice, and you gotten very fluent through the whole reading, you understand the book, is now you're done. You finished. Is to reread the book one more time. Just read it straight through. But you can read it quietly. You don't need to read at this point with a voice. Just like that. Just read. And it's easy. Reread the book one more time just to see that you gotten everything. There might be another word that you might not have caught before. Or maybe a word that you did catch, but you just forgot what it meant and you have to look it up again. But it's fine. The whole point is just to test yourself and see how you've understood it. Inshallah, that's enough for today. I hope this was beneficial. إلى هنا وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.